Hey everybody, it's your boy Joe, the Wealth Architect, coming at you live and direct from New York City. And I want to talk more about fear, right? And how if you haven't started investing yet, and you have any number of excuses, including you don't have enough money, you don't know enough, it's for rich people, all those things ultimately boil down to fear, right? Being afraid of losing money, afraid of getting it wrong, for fear of feeling inadequate or stupid, or all those things we tell ourselves. And I want to share with you 3 things that result from fear, right? And that ultimately hold you back in terms of your experiencing financial freedom. 3 things, right? That we let fear get in the way of us experiencing financial freedom, right? The first one is the fact that fear paralyzes. Fear paralyzes, right? Meaning that it causes you to do nothing, and as a result, time, on the other hand, doesn't wait, right? So while you fear investing and you're coming up with excuses for not getting started, time doesn't wait, right? And the clock is still ticking, right? We don't have yesterday. If we said we were going to get started yesterday is gone, right? We don't have last week, last month, last year, right? So while fear paralyzes, time does not wait. And why is this important? Well, the main reason why it's important is because in addition to money, when it comes to investing, the key thing that builds wealth, right, besides money, mindset, is time. Time creates exponential growth, right? What do I mean by that? Well, instead of putting your money in a savings account where you basically preserve what you have because it's not really growing, with investing, it compounds, right? Your earnings earn, right? On top of earnings, right? That's the key. And the longer you have your money invested, the faster your money grows due to compound interest, right? Your money growing like a snowball. And so when you're paralyzed and you don't do anything, meaning you don't invest, you make excuses, then you are in effect letting time work against you, because your money is not working for you. It is not compounding. It is not keeping up with inflation, right? The continued rise in prices. And so you end up here, right? That's why I said fear got you here. Fear got you to this point. It's not external circumstances. You didn't get a raise. You don't have enough money. You don't know enough about investing. All those things, there may be some truth to it, but at the end of the day, it is fear that has paralyzed you, and it is time that is working against you instead of for you. When you invest, and you invest regularly, time is your friend. Time is your best friend. Doesn't matter how much time you did in prison. Doesn't matter how much time you've wasted thus far. Once you get started, time is your friend. It is your ally, right? It works with you, and it helps your money grow exponentially. So that's number 1. The second thing is you've already experienced and survived a tremendous amount of risk. If you've done time in jail or prison, and you are here watching me and listening to me, or someone else is watching me or listening to me, or should be watching me or listening to me, then you or they have already survived against extreme odds. I did 25 years in prison. Nothing to brag about at all. I went in at 22, came out 46. I did 24 and a half years to be exact. My sentence was 25 years to life, and I received 6 months credit. So for all intents and purposes, I did 25 years, a quarter of a century, time that you can't get back. And so whether you've done 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30, whatever the case might be, you survived it. Thank God you survived it. And so now, since that is now behind you, what can, investing, and let's say, you are not lucky, so to speak, and you invest $100, $500, and the stock or the investment goes down. Well, guess what? It's not the end of the world. You survived prison with all the craziness, the violence, the mind games, the put downs, the discrimination, all of those things. You survived it. You survived it, right? And so don't wait any longer to get started. Begin to have your money work for you. That's the name of the game. The name of the game is not to work for money till you're 75, 80, or whatever the case might be, or, having to be on public assistance or SSI. And, we see right now with the government shutdown, for example, how being at the mercy of other people, whether it's a government or anyone else, for your financial well-being is like a financial prison, right? It's a different prison, but it's still prison. And that's not what I want for you or your loved ones. You deserve more, right? So in order to put things in perspective, just remember, you have already survived against extreme odds, right? Odds that most people could not survive. Never forget that. Never forget that. And so here you are, right? Having let fear get in the way of you investing, getting started with investing. Here you are. But you don't have to stay in that space, right? That's why we're talking about this now. You don't have to stay in that space. You can get started now by having your money work for you, right? And I'm going to talk a little later about exactly how you can do that, how you can get started, right? So the third thing is inaction is not safety. So some people might feel that, well, if I don't put my money in, meaning if I don't invest, then I can't lose anything, right? I'll put it in a savings account or I'll spend it or whatever, but I won't lose it. The truth is, you are losing it, right? Because if your money is not invested, then you've already spent it on whatever you've spent it on. And also, in terms of saving, it's not the interest, the meager, minuscule interest that you get from a bank or most lending institutions simply is a joke. It does not keep up with inflation, meaning prices rise, let's say 2-3%, and you're earning 0.5%. So your money is losing power. It's losing purchasing power, right? So you're already behind the 8 ball, so to speak. So inaction is not safety, right? Meaning by not investing, you're not playing it safe, right? Actually, it's the opposite, right? You are surrendering. You are giving in to inflation. You are giving in to the rising prices that will inevitably come. We all know prices go up. They don't go down. They don't go backwards, right? So what are you going to do? Are you going to surrender or are you going to take action? That's the question. Are you going to surrender to inflation and external forces and things that the government does and all these things? Are you going to surrender and give in? No, you're not. You didn't surrender when you was in prison, right? Or jail, right? You may have, or if you did, you didn't surrender for a long time, right? You ultimately hung in there, and that's why you're home. and out, or your loved one is home and out listening to me, watching me, right? So those are the three things that I just really wanted to point out when it comes to fear, how we too often let fear stop us from experiencing the financial freedom that we want and deserve, right? So I'm going to go over those three things again, and then I'm going to talk about what you can do, right, to overcome fear, to get started, right? So the first one, fear paralyzes, right? So when we think about all the things that could go wrong, it stops us from getting started, right? And by doing so, the clock is ticking, right? While fear paralyzes, time waits for no one. The clock is ticking, and we are losing money. You're just basically throwing money away by not investing and using the power of compound interest. Remember, time can be your friend or can be your enemy. It's your friend if you put your money to work right now, get started, or it can be your enemy if you do nothing and you are confronted with, we all are confronted with inflation, the rising cost of goods and services, and then our money doesn't have purchasing power. And in that way, as time goes by, time becomes our enemy, right? An enemy to our money, to our lifestyle, to our future financial freedom. The second thing is you've already survived, right? You've already experienced all sorts of risk and you survived, right? So pat yourself on the back, and I do mean that because a lot of people cannot endure incarceration. It's no joke. Mentally, emotionally, socially, in terms of your family and all that, but you survived. You survived. And now you want to put your money to work so that it can work for you. That's the key, right? The third thing is doing nothing is not playing it safe, right? It's actually surrendering, right? It's giving in to inflation, it's the rising prices, and it's giving in to all the money scripts, the negative money scripts that you have about money, right? Those unconscious beliefs and attitudes that you have about money, right? So we don't want to do that. So those are your three things. And so here's what you want to do. You want to get it started today. If you have $50, if you have $25, but let's say $50, $100 that you can spare, right? That if you lost all of it, for example, not that you would, because you won't, right? But that if you lost it, you'd be fine, right? So I want you to get started with a low risk investment of an S&P 500 index fund. There are several. One that I like several, but one that I like and that I invest in is VOO. That's the ticker symbol. It's Vanguard's S&P 500 ETF, right? So that's what I want you to do to get started today, right? Today. In a previous video, I talked about the 4 steps. I added a fifth, but the 4 steps to getting started with investing. Check out that video. Share it with loved ones. Let's not wait for the New Year's. Let's not make any excuses. Let's get this money.